This particular project was that it forced people into doing things that they normally wouldn't do. They had to rethink. And Perret does wonderful underwater photography, and suddenly she transformed herself into a surrealist. It's just like it carried her one level beyond what she was able to do. You want to talk about that scene?
Sure. This is a really interesting approach. My first impression was seeing someone sitting in a chair but being ejected in the air like she'd come out of a fighter pilot seat. And that turned out to be accurate. She wrote a poem to go with it called If You Think. And the essence of it is, if you like to think, come sit next to me and we'll imagine other places. We'll take off for other worlds. It's quite a good little poem. I can't read it from here. She had a typewritten version, but it's quite nice. So she made a negative of her drawing and then touched it up with white crayon, Conte crayon. Unusual piece.
The poem is meant to be, her son is a musician and a composer, so he's going to set the poem to music. Who knows, it may be the next gold record or whatever they call it now.
The poem is good.
It's
really
very good.
GT, can you read the poem?
I don't have to get down so close to it, but my head will be in the right.
Kevin, where are you?
What, me?
Yeah.
I'm over there.
Okay. Yes, go sure. One of your pieces, talk about it.
Well, this is it's a watercolor on canvas, which mainly I'm a photographer, but it's just, I've been painting, I got back into painting a few years ago, and I've done different mediums. That's kind of I think a strange process to put on the canvas. So I was working with that. And it's basically an image of a window in my apartment with a bunch of belongings that, personal belongings. That's like a mate cup from my sister in Buenos Aires. This is a badge from an old drum set. That's a picture of my brother. Just different stuff. And I think...
So these are kind of artifacts of your life, right?
Yeah, so through the objects that I just sort of visualize from one spot, that's kind of things that are...
In a sense, that's you.
Yeah, a reflection of me, yeah. I sort of, I mean, it's a still life, and I think to shoot a still life photograph, a lot of times you get in one spot and then move things into it or change it. And so maybe that's the same process with it, changing it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
This is Hobie Rosen over here in the corner. He couldn't come, so I sent his friend.
But he's had this piece since he first had a studio 30 years ago, and he updates his sculpture. He gave him, as his hair got grayer, he gave him more gray hair. I don't know.
He sees himself as a creative bum, I think. Anyway, okay, what else is that?
The heart, actually, that...
Oh yeah, that's Lena Morelli.
It has a wonderful title to it. It's tightly wrapped with a few loose ends, which she feels describes her. So it's wonderful how you get a portrait of somebody without a real traditional portrait.
With a statement.
Lena does things with a heart motif and really manages to transform. The other interesting one is over here. Linda Carroll has a portrait that's a morphing of her daughter, her mother, and her grandmother. So it's 4 generations of women in one photograph. It's very interesting. So you see, look, I mean, and I love it. And then Henry Jones, Kwame Henry Jones, is the portrait over there, and that's very powerful, of his hands in front of his face. So I'm just amazed at the quality and the diversity of the work. John, you want to talk about Margaret?
Well, here's some interesting work herself in her studio in a black and white drawing, and the only color she's used is the scene you see through the window. I tried to get her to admit that there was some statement in this that the interesting stuff and her inspiration is all outdoors, and that she was downplaying herself in her studio, but she wasn't having it.
No.
She says, no, that's just the way I saw it.
And she does a lot of abstract work too.
Yeah,
she's an abstract artist. That's right.
The first time I've ever seen her do anything realistic. Claire, do you want to talk about your piece?
Can you remember what she said on this piece?
What's that?
This one, Almoda.
She said that she was thinking about the inside of her body more than the outside, and how everything's interconnected.
Oh, she was talking about the wiring within her own body, and that everything was interconnected. This is her impression of what's inside her. That's neat.
She also, I think she has an architectural background. Yeah.
Does she? Is she an architect?
She does. And now Claire's down in the corner.
Come over here and let's talk about Claire.
Let's go talk about Claire. Claire is a work of art herself.
Okay, my painting is about carnival, and it's a life. It's a that is for more light for everybody, for all peoples, for all artists have more life. The mirror is here and bring the light for all the earth. But that's what I do. Then this is, I born in the Indian Day in Brazil. No, from the Amazon, from the Indian, the 19th April. Then when I saw, I don't think about to make the Indian Day. After I finished, I remember I was born in the Indian Day. This came from part of the Indians. That's what I mean.
It doesn't look literally like you, but you're saying that this represents your creativity, which is illuminating the rest of the world, or your world.
Yes.
That's good.
Like they said, I mean a lot. They said heaven is for artists. This is my own part.
That's your statement of your contribution.
Are there any others you have questions about, and we'll try and answer them for
What
you?
about this one behind John here?
Oh, that's good. Dave Burke.
David Burke.
Oh, that's David. That's David Burke.
Yeah, he does hammered copper. And,
Yes.
his son actually was one of the founders of the Loft Artists.
I remember the studio over here.
Yeah, there's a wonderful piece in dedication to his son outside. And the sculpture, it's his son's sculpture, David Burke.
This is
But
actually,
he does.
this is actually sort of complicated by the shadows behind. It's meant to be hung in the
It's a
middle of
face.
the room. But you can see an eye and a nose and brows and hair and lips and chin. It's really quite effective. Eventually the face comes forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have to look at it for a while.
Yeah, which is good.
How about the open book?
Oh, yes, that's Susan McCaffrey, who is an open book.
Let's go look at that. I'm stymied by, we're all sort of stymied by it. Susan has to be here. I did.
And it's set up in a way so that you can actually, she encourages people to participate in the book.
Uh-huh.
You know, to turn the pages.
Okay.
Susan McCaffrey.
This is Susan McCaslin's piece, and the idea behind it, I'm told, is that she wants the people who come in to see the works of art to be able to leaf through this and experience some of her graphic inspirations. Each page is a statement of a kind of artistic thought that she's had. So this, in effect, is a look at her mind. Okay? That's a very different way of approaching a self-portrait. To let somebody dig around in your brain is radical. Anyway, that seems to be the story.